Waddle, if Saquon Barkley becomes a free agent, we've talked a little bit about this on this show.
No, I'm not.
You're not in on that at all for the Bears.
No. I'm not going to spend that kind of money on a running back.
At all, ever.
No. Listen, I have less of a problem with you drafting one, in like the end of the first round or the second round for a guy's a difference maker. But I think what we have found watching the game for years now is something that, a lot of people have talked about. Like Isaiah Pacheco was a difference maker. Now, again, it helps that, his quarterback is Patrick Mahomes, but you can find guys that you don't need to break the bank for at that position that can get the job done. So I'm not looking to pay one of my running backs in excess of $10 or $12 million a year. I'm just not.
So
I could put that money in my offensive line. I'd put it in my defensive line. I could put it in my pass rushers. I could just put it somewhere else.
Since 2009, the leading rusher for the Super Bowl winning team and their base salary has not exceeded $2.5 million. Isaiah Pacheco, as Waddle just mentioned, was the Chiefs' leading rusher. He was a rookie. He made $870K this year. Last year, Cam Akers made $890K. The year before that, Leonard Fournette made $2 million. Damian Williams was the Chiefs' leading rusher. We saw him in Chicago for a year. He made a little over $1 million. Sony Michel did it in 2018. He made $480K. LeGarrette Blount did it for the Eagles in 2017, made $900K. LeGarrette Blount was the leading rusher for the Patriots in 2016. He made $760K that year. CJ Anderson made a little over $500,000 for the Broncos in 2015. LeGarrette Blount again in 2014, $730. Percy Harvin was the Seahawks leading rusher. He was a receiver. He made $2.5 million for the Seahawks that year. Ray Rice made $2 million for the Ravens when they won it. Ahmad Bradshaw made $1.5 million in 2011. James Starks did it for the Packers when Aaron Rodgers won his lone Super Bowl. He made $320K. And then Pierre Thomas, the local kid, made $460K for the Saints in 2009. I mean, this is all you need to know about asset allocation at the running back position, I think.
Well, this year, look at the top of the list. These are all fabulous players that are rushing totals. Josh Jacobs led the league, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley. The top four guys, Las Vegas, Tennessee, Cleveland, and obviously Barkley played for the Giants. None of them hoisted a trophy. Miles Sanders was fifth this year with 1,269 yards. And my guess is Miles Sanders' contract is not something that would pop your eyes.
He was on a rookie deal, and Miles Sanders will be a free agent in this offseason. And guess what? I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be paying a whole lot of money for him.
I think that this team in this condition, I would much rather take all of that money and put it in the trenches on both sides of the ball than to pay a running back. I just wouldn't. That's where I'm at right now.
And you know what?
I'm not saying you don't need a quality running back. You do. But to pay a running back in excess of $10 million a year, it just isn't. It's not what I would be interested in right now if I was Ryan Poles.
So I brought this up back in November. I mentioned that I thought Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley could be two players who, just based on the running back market, might be worth players that the Bears should explore in free agency. But that list I just read, right? Even though I think the Bears do need difference-making players on the roster, and it would be great to add a blue-chip running back, I've also come around to the realization that money that they're going to have available with the most money in free agency, they would be better served putting it in the trenches, and utilizing it elsewhere, because there are so many holes on this roster. Even though it would be fun at the introductory press conference to be having a guy who everybody is aware of because of fantasy football with Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs, the truth is that the Bears will be better off in the long run if they forego that expense and find a guy in the draft, whether, and again, same thing for David Montgomery. I don't think David Montgomery, bringing him back for anything more than the veteran minimum, would be prudent business.
Yeah, I agree with you. You can find guys. I think that this running back crew, I like David. David's plays hard, good teammate, hard worker. I think he's a good running back. will actually be a willing participant in blitz pickup. Not a great receiver, but not someone I'm going to break the bank for. So if you move on from him, Khalil Herbert's a nice runner, but he doesn't protect the quarterback well and is not a plus receiver. So, look, you can find a different combination where I think what Kansas City has done. And again, it helps that you have Patrick Mahomes. He makes everybody better. But you get Jerick McKinnon, a veteran who's a fantastic receiver out of the backfield. You get Isaiah Pacheco, who can run the ball. You can do that by committee. I just don't think this team needs a workhorse, rather. Mm-hmm. And I think the Eagles have done it that way, too. I mean, Miles Sanders was the 5th leading receiver in the league this year, but they had other guys that they would pop into that spot. So, no, I'm not. Look, Saquon Barkley is a great player. Josh Jacobs, I actually like Josh Jacobs better than I like Saquon Barkley. Too. But I'm not going to spend in excess of $10 million a year on that position when my team has so many holes, so many needs. Look, if you're the 49ers and you want to add Christian McCaffrey's contract, but your team is stacked across the board, that's a better argument than the one you have up at Lake Forest right now.
It's a great point. With this offensive line, really, even if you put a great running back, how much can you really impact a game with a great running back if there's no holes for